The bullet missed my head by 3 inches. I felt the displacement of air, heard the crack of glass behind me, and watched my champagne flute explode in a spray of crystal and Dom Perignon before my brain even registered what had happened. Then strong hands grabbed me, yanking me down so hard I felt my designer dress tear. My face hit expensive marble as a body covered mine, heavy and unyielding as steel. "Stay down," a voice growled in my ear, male, rough, with an accent I couldn't place. "Don't move. Don't scream. Don't breathe loud." Around us, the charity gala erupted into chaos, screaming, running, the sound of security shouting orders, but the man covering me didn't move, didn't flinch. He was a wall of muscle and controlled violence, waiting for a threat I couldn't see. "I can't breathe," I gasped. "Better than bleeding," but he shifted slightly, giving me room to pull air into my lungs. "Someone just tried to kill you, princess. In about 30 seconds, this place will be swarming with cops asking questions. So here's mine. Any idea who wants you dead?" I wanted to say no, wanted to believe this was random, a case of wrong place, wrong time. But the truth was darker, more terrifying. "My fiancé," I whispered. The man went very still. "Say that again." "I think my fiancé is trying to kill me." His name was Luca Santoro, and he was the most infuriating man I had ever met. My father hired him 3 days after the shooting, despite my protests that I didn't need a babysitter. Billionaire heiress Emma Castellano could take care of herself, thank you very much. One look at Luca, and I knew I was in trouble. He stood in my father's study like a predator in a cage. 6'3" of lean muscle, dark hair cropped military short, and eyes like green ice that cataloged every detail of his surroundings. A scar ran from his left eyebrow to his cheekbone, giving him a dangerous edge that his expensive suit couldn't quite civilize. "This is unnecessary," I said, directing my words to my father while glaring at Luca. "The police said it was probably a random... The police are idiots." Luca's voice cut through my protest like a blade. The shooter used a .308 caliber rifle from approximately 400 meters. That's not random. That's professional. My father nodded gravely. Luca is former Italian Special Forces, then private military contractor. He's protected diplomats, CEOs, even a few heads of state. If anyone can keep you safe, it's him. I don't need protection. I need answers. I need to know. You need to stay alive. Luca's gaze locked onto mine, and I felt the full force of his intensity. Clear? I wanted to argue, to assert my independence, to remind this arrogant soldier that I wasn't some helpless damsel. But the memory of that bullet, the crystal exploding, the cold certainty of how close I had come to death, it silenced me. "Fine," I said through gritted teeth, "but stay out of my way." Luca's mouth curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. "Princess, I'll be so close you'll forget what privacy means." He wasn't kidding. Within 6 hours, my life became a prison. Luca moved into the guest suite adjacent to my bedroom. He installed new locks, security cameras, and scanning equipment. He fired half my household staff after background checks revealed vulnerabilities. His word, not mine. He confiscated my phone and gave me a new one with tracking software. "This is insane," I protested, as he swept my room for listening devices. "You're treating me like a prisoner." "I'm treating you like a target." He didn't even look up from the detector in his hand. "Because that's what you are. Someone hired a professional sniper to kill you at a public event with hundreds of witnesses and security. That takes money, planning, and serious motivation. And you think it's Richard? My fiancé's name felt toxic on my tongue. You said it first, Luca straightened, his eyes sharp. Why would your fiancé want you dead? I sank onto my bed, suddenly exhausted. My trust fund. I inherit $200 million on my 28th birthday, which is in 3 weeks. If I die before then, everything goes to my surviving spouse or fiancé. So, Richard gets the money if you're dead. Only if we're married. The engagement isn't enough. I looked up at Luca. We were supposed to get married in 2 weeks. Small ceremony, just family. Richard suggested moving it up, said he couldn't wait anymore. I thought it was romantic. It was strategic. Luca's expression was granite. Kill you after the wedding, collect the inheritance, neat, efficient, and he gets to play the grieving widower. Nausea rolled through me. I've known Richard for 5 years. We grew up in the same social circle. I thought he loved me. Maybe he did, before $200 million became available. Love and money, they rarely coexist peacefully. You sound like you speak from experience. I speak from seeing too many people die for money. He turned back to me. Tell me about Richard. Everything. So I did. Richard Morrison III, heir to a banking fortune, Princeton educated, impeccable pedigree. We started dating 3 years ago, got engaged last year. He was charming, attentive, everything my father wanted in a son-in-law. Too perfect, Luca muttered when I finished. The banking fortune? It's real? Why wouldn't it be? Because perfect facades usually hide ugly truths. He pulled out his phone. I'll have my people dig deeper. In the meantime, we need to cancel the wedding. I can't just cancel. You can, and you will. Or would you rather walk down the aisle wondering if your groom plans to kill you during the honeymoon? The blunt cruelty of his words stole my breath, but he was right. I couldn't marry Richard now, not with this suspicion poisoning everything. I'll call him tomorrow, I said quietly. No. Luca's tone brooked no argument. You'll do it now with me listening, and you won't mention suspicions or threats, just cold feet, family pressure, anything but the truth. Why? Because if Richard knows we suspect him, he'll either run or accelerate his timeline. Either way, you're in more danger. He held out the phone. Make the call, Emma. End this engagement before it ends you. My hands shook as I dialed. Richard answered on the second ring, his voice warm and concerned. Emma, darling, I heard about the shooting. Are you all right? I've been trying to reach you. I'm fine. Richard, we need to talk. Of course, I'll come right over. No. I glanced at Luca, who nodded approval. I need space. The shooting, it made me realize I'm not ready. For the wedding. For marriage. I need to postpone. Silence on the other end. Then postpone or cancel. I don't know. I just know I can't go through with it right now. Emma, don't do this. His voice changed, became harder. We've made commitments, plans. People are expecting. I don't care what people expect. This is my life, Richard. My choice. Is this about the money? Because I've never cared about your inheritance. Then you won't mind waiting until after my birthday to discuss marriage. If you love me, the money shouldn't matter. The trap, suggested by Luca, snapped shut. Of course, it doesn't matter. I'm just worried about you, darling. You've been through trauma. Maybe you're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. Goodbye, Richard. I hung up before he could respond, my heart hammering. Luca was watching me with something that might have been approval. Well done! That was... The explosion cut off his words. The window behind me shattered inward in a spray of glass and fire. The force of the blast threw me forward, and once again Luca's body covered me, protecting me from the debris raining down around us. My ears rang, smoke filled my lungs. Through the chaos, I heard Luca shouting into his phone, calling for backup, for emergency services. Second attempt in 3 days. Your fiancé just answered our question. Grab what you need, we're leaving. Now.
We drove through the night in a black SUV with bulletproof glass and enough weapons in the back to start a small war. Luca made 3 phone calls in Italian, arranged safe houses, and erased our digital trail with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. "Where are we going?" I asked as the city lights faded behind us. "Somewhere your fiancé won't find you." He glanced at me, and in the dashboard light, his scarred face looked almost gentle. "How are you holding up?" "Someone just tried to blow me up. How do you think?" "Better than most. You haven't cried, screamed, or gone into shock. That's impressive for a spoiled princess." The casual insult sparked anger through my fear. "You don't know anything about me." "I know plenty. Emma Castellano, 27 years old. Yale graduate with a degree in art history you've never used. You sit on 3 charity boards, attend approximately 40 social events per month, and your last real job was a summer internship at Sotheby's 6 years ago. You've never struggled, never fought for anything, never faced a real challenge in your entire privileged life." Each word was a slap. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" His eyes flicked to mine. "I'm not judging, Emma. I'm just stating facts. But the woman I need you to be for the next few weeks, she needs to be tougher than the princess in the tabloids. Can you do that?" I wanted to throw his contempt back at him, to prove I was more than the shallow heiress he assumed. But what could I say? He was right. My life had been cushioned, protected, predictable. Until now. "I can do whatever I need to survive," I said quietly. "Good, because we're about to find out." The safe house was a cabin in the White Mountains, 3 hours from Boston and a world away from my life of luxury. Rustic didn't begin to cover it. 1 bedroom, a kitchenette, a wood stove, and no cell service. "You're joking," I said, staring at the primitive accommodation. "I'm keeping you alive." Luca carried our bags inside without breaking stride. "You take the bedroom. I'll sleep out here." "There's no running water." "There's a well. And an outhouse 20 yards that way." He pointed into the darkness. "An outhouse? I'm supposed to use an outhouse?" "Welcome to reality, princess." But there was amusement in his voice now. "Think of it as camping." "I've never been camping." "Of course you haven't." He started building a fire in the stove with practice efficiency. "Don't worry. I'll teach you everything you need to know. Starting with survival rule number 1, stop whining and start adapting." Pride made me want to argue, but exhaustion, fear, and the lingering scent of smoke on my clothes made me bite back the response. Instead, I explored the tiny bedroom, finding military-style efficiency, a narrow bed, a kerosene lamp, and nothing else. This was going to be a nightmare. I was wrong. It wasn't a nightmare. It was hell. Luca woke me at dawn with 3 sharp knocks on my door. "Up. Training starts in 15 minutes. "Training?" I mumbled, disoriented. "Self-defense, situational awareness, basic survival skills. If someone gets past me, you need to be able to protect yourself." "Can't this wait until after coffee?" "Coffee's ready. Move it." The next 4 hours were brutal. Luca taught me how to throw a punch, break a hold, use everyday objects as weapons. He made me run the perimeter of the property until my lungs burned. He showed me how to start a fire, purify water, and find north without a compass. "You're trying to kill me," I gasped during a water break. "Your fiancé is trying to kill you. I'm trying to keep you alive. Big difference." He handed me a canteen. "You're doing better than expected, though, for a princess." "Stop calling me that." "Earn a better nickname." But his eyes held grudging respect. By the third day, I was keeping up. By the fifth, I was almost enjoying it. There was something liberating about physical exhaustion, about learning skills that had nothing to do with charity committees or social calendars. And despite his harsh training methods, Luca was a good teacher, patient when I struggled, encouraging when I succeeded. He shared stories from his military days, carefully edited, but revealing glimpses of a life lived in shadows and danger. "Why did you leave the military?" I asked one evening as we sat by the fire, nursing sore muscles and unexpected companionship. "I saw too many good people die following bad orders." His voice was distant, haunted. "Eventually, I decided if I was going to risk my life, it would be on my terms." "Do you ever regret it? The leaving or the staying too long?" He met my eyes, and something passed between us. "Every day." The moment stretched, charged with an awareness I'd been trying to ignore. Luca wasn't just my bodyguard anymore. He was the man who'd saved my life twice, who pushed me to be stronger, who looked at me like I was capable of more than I'd ever imagined. And God help me, I was attracted to him in ways that had nothing to do with his protection and everything to do with the man beneath the soldier's mask. "Emma," he started, his voice rough. His phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He checked it, and his expression darkened. "My people found something. Richard's banking fortune? It's gone. He's been running a Ponzi scheme for the past year, stealing from investors to maintain his lifestyle. He's approximately 40 million in debt." My stomach dropped. "So marrying me was always about the money, and now that you've postponed the wedding, he's desperate." Luca stood, pacing like a caged wolf. "This changes everything. Desperate men make mistakes, but they're also unpredictable. What do we do?" "We wait him out. Your birthday is in 1 week. After that, the inheritance is yours, and killing you does him no good. He'll either run or—" The window exploded inward. Not glass this time, tear gas canisters filling the small cabin with choking smoke. Through my burning eyes, I saw shapes moving outside, silhouettes against the darkness. Luca grabbed my arm, dragging me toward the back door. "They found us! Move!" We burst into the night, and gunfire erupted around us. Luca returned fire with a weapon I hadn't known he'd been carrying, laying down covering shots as we ran for the tree line. "How many?" I gasped during a water break. "At least 4. Professional hunters, not amateurs. Richard's not taking chances anymore. What do we do?" "We survive." He met my eyes, and I saw determination there, and something else, something fierce and protective and utterly unexpected. "Stay close to me, Emma. No matter what happens, stay close to me." We moved through the forest like ghosts, Luca using every skill from his military training to evade our pursuers. Twice they nearly caught us. Twice Luca's quick thinking and lethal efficiency saved our lives. But we were outnumbered, outgunned, and running out of forest. "There," Luca pointed, to an old hunting lodge barely visible through the trees. "We hole up there, wait for extraction." "Extraction?" I called backup before we ran. 20 minutes out, maybe less. He checked his ammunition, and his expression was grim. "We just need to survive 20 minutes. The longest 20 minutes of my life. We barricaded ourselves in the lodge, Luca taking position by the window with his remaining ammunition. The hunters circled, testing defenses, looking for weaknesses. "Emma," Luca said, without taking his eyes off the darkness outside, "if this goes bad—" "Don't!" "If this goes bad," he continued, his voice steel, "there's a rifle under the floorboard by the fireplace, 12 rounds. You remember what I taught you? Breathe, aim, squeeze. Good girl." He glanced at me, and his expression softened. "For what it's worth, you're not a princess anymore. You're a fighter. I'm proud of you." The words shouldn't have mattered, but they did. They mattered more than anything. "Luca!" The door exploded inward.
4 men poured through, weapons raised. Luca took down 2 before they could fire, but the others had him pinned. I saw him go down, saw blood bloom on his shoulder, and something inside me snapped.
I grabbed the rifle from its hiding place, my training overriding terror. The first man turned toward me and I fired. The recoil nearly knocked me over, but the shot was true. He dropped. The last man raised his weapon toward Luca's prone form, and I didn't think. I just moved, throwing myself between them, pulling the trigger again and again until the rifle clicked empty. Silence fell, broken only by my ragged breathing and Luca's groaning as he struggled to sit up. "Emma!" His voice was thick with pain and something else. That was the stupidest, bravest thing I've ever seen. "You're welcome." I dropped the rifle, my hands shaking violently. "You're bleeding." "Flesh wound. I've had worse." He pulled me down beside him, his good arm wrapping around my shoulders. "Backup will be here soon." We made it. I started laughing, a slightly hysterical sound that turned into sobbing. We'd survived. Against all odds, against professional killers, we'd survived. Luca's hand came up to cup my face, his thumb wiping away tears. "Hey, look at me." I met his eyes, green and fierce and full of something that made my heart stutter. "You saved my life," he said softly. "You didn't have to. You could have run, hidden, saved yourself, but you didn't." "I couldn't let him kill you." The confession came out raw, honest. "I couldn't lose you." "Emma," whatever he was going to say was lost as he pulled me against him, his mouth finding mine in a kiss that tasted like smoke and blood and survival. When we finally broke apart, sirens were wailing in the distance and dawn was breaking through the trees. "Your birthday is in 6 days," Luca said, his forehead resting against mine. "After that, you're safe. Richard has no reason to come after you." "And then what?" I asked, afraid of the answer. "Then I stop being your bodyguard, and maybe start being something else. If you'll have a scarred ex-soldier with trust issues and a dangerous job." I thought about my old life, the charity galas, the empty social calendar, the carefully curated image of the perfect heiress. Then I thought about the last 2 weeks, the training, the danger, the way Luca had pushed me to become more than I'd ever been. "I'll have you," I said. Scars, issues, danger, and all. His smile was like sunrise. "Then I guess we both survived more than just assassination attempts." "What do you mean?" "We survived our own assumptions. You're not a spoiled princess, Emma, and I'm not just a bodyguard anymore." As backup teams swarmed the lodge and paramedics arrived to treat Luca's wound, I realized he was right. The woman who'd walked into her father's study 2 weeks ago was gone, burned away by fire and bullets and the crucible of survival. In her place was someone stronger, someone capable of facing danger and making impossible choices, someone who'd found love in the last place she'd expected, with the bodyguard who'd seen past her facade to the fighter underneath. Richard was arrested at the airport trying to flee to the Cayman Islands. His Ponzi scheme collapsed, his investors filed lawsuits, and he faced multiple charges of attempted murder and financial fraud. My 28th birthday came and went quietly. I inherited my trust fund and immediately used it to start a foundation, not for charity galas, but for real work, helping survivors of violence learn self-defense and rebuild their lives. Luca stayed. Not as my bodyguard. I hired someone else for that. He stayed as the man who'd taught me to fight, to survive, to become someone I'd never known I could be. And on quiet nights, when we sit together watching the sunset, I sometimes remember that first bullet that missed me by 3 inches. The bullet that changed everything, that led me to this moment, this man, this life. The best things I've learned come from surviving the worst.